Okay, excellent. That being the case, we'll go with Mr. Brock for 5 minutes.
Minister, 2 weeks ago, actually 16 days ago, the Prime Minister notified Canada that his government is taking the case very seriously. He secondly said this is a very serious situation that you, sir, as the Minister of Public Safety, would be doing a full follow-up to understand exactly how this happened. The Minister will share all that we learned in the appropriate moment. That was 16 days ago. You've indicated the process by which you've disclosed this 5-page document to committee, literally 20 minutes before the commencement. In my former career as a Crown attorney, if I tried to pull something like this in front of a judge, I would get a severe tongue lashing. This is not procedural fairness. This is highly, highly suspicious in terms of the timing by which you release that. So, moving on. I too want to talk about the video, the notorious video from 2015. According to Global News, they easily obtained a copy of that. It appeared to match the one that resulted in the aggravated assault charge that the RCMP recently laid. It shows a prisoner wearing an orange jumpsuit and suspended from a pole in a desert. A man wearing a black robe and a cap bearing the ISIS logo then hacks at the prisoner's limbs with a sword, cutting off his hands, cutting off his feet. His face briefly visible, he appears to be a middle-aged man with a henna-tinted beard. It is unclear whether the victim was already dead when he was dismembered. The video, titled "Deterring Spies," was published in June 2015 by the media arm of the ISIS branch in western Iraq, according to an expert. Now, we know that Mr. El-Didi received his citizenship in September 2023. I'm looking at the chronology under security screening note. Application was referred to CSIS for security checks in November 2023. CSIS returned a favorable recommendation. What type of message does that send to Canadians regarding our national security agency with a video that was widely distributed some 8 years previous, was not flagged against any advanced biometrics? The man's face was clearly visible. Is CSIS not tracking these videos? What other terrorists are walking the streets here in Canada right now waiting to commit terrorist acts on innocent Canadians? What the hell is going on?
So, Mr. Chair, through you to Mr. Brock, I would also think that when in your previous job as a Crown attorney, you would be commenting with the benefit of parliamentary privilege on something that you know very well may form part of an evidence, part of the evidence in an upcoming criminal trial. As the Deputy Commissioner of the RCMP said, I'm not sure you would, on the steps of a courthouse in the middle of an ongoing trial, have been as dramatic as you were for your social media clip now.
Sir, Minister, I am not a Crown attorney right now. I am a parliamentarian asking the tough questions that Canadians want to know. Why did our National Security Agency not flag this video 8 years prior and use the image of this terrorist, if not killer, who's dismembering limbs from the person in a pole? Why was that image not flagged against every other asylum claimant to ensure that there was adequate security checks being done? According to your note, CSIS cleared this individual, returning a favorable recommendation. How did that slip through? How did that slip through, sir?
So again, you're referring to alleged dramatic images.
It's not alleged. It happened. The video is not alleged.
I think we should be careful talking about criminal evidence, but as I said in my opening comments, and Ted Gallivan is going to be able to give you some precision with respect to the video and how security screening agencies came into possession of that information. At the time when the relevant decisions were being made by the Immigration Department and the security services were doing their work, the existence of that video or the information that you have recounted to the committee now was not available. And I think Mr. Gallivan can provide some precision in terms of why that was the case.
Well, it begs the question as to why.
Mr. Brock, that's enough. I think we should let Mr. Gallivan speak after the minister is gone. And we will go now to Ms. Demoff for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Chair, and it's a pleasure to be back on this committee. I was on here from 2015 onwards, and I have to say I'm really proud of the investments that the government has made to restore our security agencies to where they should be to deal with these kind of security threats. Someone recently said to me that under the Debt Reduction Action Plan, a fine fish net had become pretty porous because of cuts. And then one of the first things that we did when we got elected was update our national security framework and pass legislation that actually has given tools to our security agents to deal with these evolving threats, which have become more global in nature. They cross borders, so it's becoming more difficult. So, Minister, I have to say, I know you've only been in the role for a year, but you have led this group of people admirably, and since we got elected in 2015, I'm quite proud of the investments that we've made. I wonder if you and perhaps the heads of the different agencies could comment. Actually, and before I go, Ms. Lloyd, I'd like to congratulate you on your new role, leading an agency that does such important work for Canadians. Can you, in spite of the fear-mongering that's been going on here, can Canadians have confidence in our agencies, and can Canadians feel safe that we are that we have the tools and continuing evolving tools to deal with these kind of terrorist threats?
Ms. Demoff, thank you for the question. I'm happy to see you as well at this committee again. You did important work here in your role as a parliamentary secretary on many of these issues. Our government has sought to increase resources, for example, to CSIS. One of the most significant investments in both technology and capacity at CSIS happened in the budget 2024 a few months ago. I think all of us should be very proud as parliamentarians and our colleagues in the other place as well for adopting Bill C-70, which gave for the first time in decades new authorities for CSIS in a digital age. So to comments about the existence of videos on a dark web, I think it's important, Ms. Demoff, for people to understand, and I hear this from the security agencies. I have never been myself on the dark web looking for these kind of videos. It's called the dark web precisely because these kind of videos don't normally come with credits and contact information at the end of it. So the idea that there's some simple way that security agencies and partners around the world are able to have access to the sickeningly thousands and millions of images of this kind of thing, that's why partnerships are so important. That's why working with the 150 other countries that Vanessa described is the best way for CSIS and their partners in the RCMP and CBSA to do this work. So they need access to the technology. They need legislative authorities, which this Parliament gave them a few months ago, which is terrific. And they need their government to support them with the funds necessary to modernize. I believe that work is being done. I'm lucky enough with this super interesting job I have to see that work up close every week and every month. And as I said in my opening comments, Ms. Demoff, when I was briefed by CSIS on July 24th, and when Deputy Commissioner Larkin and his colleagues Mark Flynn and Commissioner Duhem updated me on the 28th of July that these people were in custody, successful arrest had been made, it reminded me of the remarkable work done by these women and men in the agencies represented here, the danger of their work, and the value of working constructively with partners around the world. Because if we're not constructive and if we're reckless in releasing information, discussing origins of information, commenting on media reports of certain images and the existence of evidence that may end up forming part of a criminal prosecution, we'll increasingly be unable to get that information. We won't look like the reliable partner that we are with those agencies. I heard from the director of MI6 himself, the chief, in London, about how much he values the work that CSIS does and the information that CSIS gives MI6. I thought that was reassuring for Canadians to know that somebody as interesting in the world as the chief, he would be C in the films that we've all seen. When Sir Richard Moore told me that they are absolutely dependent on CSIS and other partners, it told me the system is working quite well.
I know my time is up, Chair. The Conservatives voted against every investment that we've made in these security agents over the last 9 years. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Demoff. And thank you, Minister. Safe travels. And thank you for being here and having the forbearance to bear with us a little longer.
Mr. Chair, thank you, and thanks to colleagues, and I look forward to seeing you in a few weeks. I'll be in your province, in the great city of Nanaimo, I guess in 10 days. But thank you, colleagues, for taking time in the middle of a non-sitting week to join us, and thank you for the invitation.
And BC is the best province to come to in this. Thank you. So we'll suspend for a couple minutes. We'll bring in another witness, and if everyone wants to get a coffee.